In this lesson, we are going to be looking some more at systems word problems. In this particular case, we're going to be looking at integer problems, okay? Integers, if you don't remember, just means any positive or negative whole number. No fractions, no decimals, but anything from negative infinity to positive infinity as long as it's a whole number or zero, okay? So, it's talking about two integers. Now, you have to designate when you do this which one is the smaller and which one's the bigger, and I'll kind of show you why in a minute. But it says the sum of two integers. So let's say our two integers are x and y. Sum means to add. So when I add the two integers, I will get 11. And by the way, you will not be allowed on a quiz or a test to solve this simply by guessing and checking. I'm going to need to see equations and you're going to need to solve them. Okay? All right, their difference, and a lot of people want to just go like this, x minus y equals 7, which actually in this case could work, okay, but it won't always work that way. So you have to designate, let's say x is the smaller number and y is the bigger number. If I designated that, and by the way, they can't be the same number. If I designated that though, and this is the way I wrote my equations, I want you to look at this second equation right here. Does it make sense that the smaller number subtracted a bigger number, so if I take a smaller number and subtract a bigger number, that I should get a positive 7 for an answer? No, it does not. If I take a smaller number and subtract a bigger number, I should end up with a negative answer. And so I actually want to write this one as y minus x equals 7. Okay, now I know that's not nearly as pretty. I am actually going to take this one and solve it now. So I can choose to solve it by either elimination or I can choose to solve it by substitution. If I want to do elimination, I need to have my x's and my y's lined up on top of each other, which I don't in this case, but I can fix that really easy. If I want to do it with substitution, then I'm going to need to get one equation solved for either x or y. I am going to solve this one with elimination, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this second equation and I'm going to flip-flop these two around. Okay, and when I flip-flop those two around, then I will have negative x and positive y equals 7. Okay, this is a little bit messy, I know. Now I will add these two equations together. So when I add x and negative x, they drop. I get 0. When I add y plus y, I get 2y. And when I add 11 plus 7, I get 18. And now I can divide by 2, and I get y equals 9. Okay. Then what I can do is I can plug that back into one of your equations. Remember my first equation was x plus y equals 11. And so it's kind of messy, but it's right here. That's where I got that. X plus y equals 11. I'm plugging that y in. So I will have x plus 9. And I know you can do this in your head, but you're going to have more complicated numbers. So I'm going to just plug this in for you so you can see it. So I have x plus 9 equals 11. Subtract 9. And x equals 2. Okay, so in this case, I don't care necessarily that you give them to me as a comma, but your two numbers are 2 and 9 are the two numbers that solve that system. And on a quiz or a test, you may not do it with just guess and check. All right, again, when you do this, you have to designate either x or y is which one's smaller and which one's bigger. It doesn't matter which way you do it. I just usually make x smaller and y bigger, but you could do it either way you want it. It does not matter, but you have to designate that. Okay? So here we go. One integer is 3 more than another. Okay? Well, obviously, if something is 3 more than another, it has to be bigger. Okay? So I designated y as my bigger integer. So my bigger integer has to be 3 more than my smaller. So I have to have this as x plus 3. Okay? That's why you have to designate which one is bigger and which one's smaller. In the next sentence, the larger one, which is y, is also 41 greater than. So that means I'm going to add 41 to something. And it's 41 greater than the opposite of the smaller. Well, the opposite of the smaller is negative x. Okay? Now, just because in the last one I solved it with elimination, I'm going to do this one with substitution. So I want either one equation solved for either x or y. It doesn't matter. My top equation's already solved for y, so I'm going to take it. I will replace y in the bottom equation. So I will have x plus 3 equals negative x plus 41. Get all my x's to one side, so I will add x here. I have 2x plus 3 equals 41. Subtract 3. 2x equals 38. Divide by 2. And x is 19. Okay. Then that's my first answer. I will take it, I will plug it in right here. And I have y equals 19 plus 3, or y equals 22. Okay, so my two numbers are 19 and 22 in this case. But you have to designate which one's smaller and which one's bigger.